Today, once again, it's the beginning of a new month, and you know what that means. We have Conservative Cabinet League tables to look at, and these are always fascinating to look at. And part of the reason why we look at them, again, I'm going to sort of repeat this almost every single time we cover this, but there might be new viewers coming in, so worth introducing them to maybe the world of Conservative home and the sheer craziness that goes on there sometimes. But welcome to this. It's a fun website to cover, and like I say, waiting for that eventual election wipeout because oh boy, oh boy, yeah, there are going to be some serious sour grapes when that happens. Oh boy, but of course, we'll probably, maybe 6 months, maybe a bit more, who knows, till we get a general election, but it's not far off the bat. But one of the reasons why we do cover these league tables from Conservative Home is that they have been super accurate, and I mean super accurate at predicting who was going to be the next leader of the Conservative Party. Back in the day, when, of course, Boris Johnson was still at his height, they had predicted exactly what everyone was saying was never going to happen, that it was going to be a runoff between Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. Like, they had predicted this months in advance of everyone else, and I was saying, this is probably what's going to happen. It's probably going to be a runoff between them. And everyone was like, oh, no, that's not going to happen. Liz Truss is an absolute moron. Well, look what happened. It's never going to be Rishi Sunak. Well, here we are. In the, Sunak world, shall we say. But no, these league tables are incredibly important. And you might be saying, well, where is it? Well, don't worry, it's just behind the curtain. I'm hiding it to sort of drum up a bit of suspense because, oh boy, we have had an insane yo-yo happen. An insane yo-yo happen this time. And I want to talk about this because I think it's highly interesting that when we do talk to this, I'm also going to talk about Suella Braverman as well, because she's got a interesting fact, because not only did they ask, who's your favorite cabinet minister, they also asked, do you think that, Sunak was right to fire Braverman as well? And oh boy, those responses, interesting as well indeed. So before we do go getting into this, we're going to go. Please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below there are links to my Patreon page. There's one station called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. There is, of course, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, the Pony Club down below as well. So, without further ado, here we go into the league table. There we go, a bit bigger so you can all see. And here we are. Here we are, and oh boy, what a change. Not surprising, to be honest. Not surprising if you were, if you've seen our last time we covered this league table. But the top 5, you've got Kemi Badenoch. Wasn't at the top last time. Wasn't at the top last time at all. We'll be getting to that in a moment. You have Kemi Badenoch, first place. Not surprising. Penny Mordaunt, once again, not surprising. Although, once again, you might be wondering, why has she been given a more prominent cabinet position? Well, ultimately, probably because she might knife Sunak in the back. And, of course, there are rumours that have been said for quite a while that she isn't really that competent. So there's those two things, but those are our two sort of, again, front runners. Of course, Kemi Badenoch still taking the lead, but of course, she's trade secretary. Ultimately, she gets to go out every day and basically say, this is quote unquote good trade deal that I have done. Aren't I, good? This is the exact same tactic that, of course, Liz Truss did when she was in the exact same spot. And she got a lot of popularity from it. But of course, when push came to shove, when she actually got into a real position of power where she actually had to do stuff, when the rubber met the road, well, we all know what happened then. She crashed the economy and almost destroyed the UK pensions industry. And as I've said many times before, if you thought the crash that we had from Liz Truss was bad. What could have happened, quite frankly, what we got was a complete walk in the park to what we could have had, especially economically. So those are your two front runners. We then got Johnny Mercer taking third place. Esher McVeigh, although I have to wonder why on earth she's taking the fourth spot here. This, remember, still comes off the Newsnight appearance a couple of weeks ago now. So maybe this hadn't played into it. We'll see where she comes up next month. But of course, she is the Minister for Common Sense. Like I say, as we've said before, we're paying a lot for that, that common sense. And then she is pretty much neck and neck tied for that place by Tom Tugendhat. Tom Tugendhat, of course, as we've said many, many times before, probably one of the dark horses when it comes to a potential maybe future leadership race. Of course, that's if he survives up in Scotland off the back of that. But we'll see. So those are your top five. You've got Kemi Badenoch, Penny Mordaunt, John McVeigh, Esher McVeigh, and of course Tom Tugendhat. Not too much changes at the top. Well, actually, a massive change at the top, because you might remember, of course, wasn't James Cleverly at the top, you might say? Well, yes, he was. I heard you at the back saying, you did say that there was going to be quite a surprise. Where is James Cleverly on this list? Bear in mind, of course, he's been the Foreign Office, and then, of course, he gets moved to the Home Office. And where is he on this list? Where is he? Well, he is all the way down here. James Cleverly at 10.6. And bear in mind, he was beating everyone at the top of the list. He was even ahead of Kemi Badenoch. He was at 70. It was 71 percentage approval points last time. So he has had a colossal fall from grace. And last time we were predicting, well, maybe he can use this as a bounce to go on and maybe in the future run as a possible leadership candidate. Maybe it becomes a three-way race between him, Badenoch, and Mordaunt. And maybe he sort of ends up being maybe a dampener and pulls votes away from Badenoch and maybe Braverman at the time. We'll see. We'll come on to her, of course, in a moment as well. But that was what we were sort of talking about. That was the possibilities of maybe how that could happen. But needless to say, interesting times, of course, going on in the Tory party. And of course, we have to talk about the man himself, our current, Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, trailing at the bottom of minus 25.4. And I want to repeat this, because the last time another Prime Minister was this low, it was Boris Johnson. It was Boris Johnson. And as we said before, Nadine Dorries was right. I know, shock horror, but Nadine Dorries was right in the fact that the last time a Conservative Prime Minister was performing this badly, of course, that being Boris Johnson, not only just in the polls, but even amongst his own party members, the Conservatives got rid of him. What is to be the fate of Rishi Sunak? Will he be the person leading the Conservatives into the next general election? Well, the Rwanda plan, or whatever crazy concoction he comes up with next, we'll see what happens, because that could split the Tories massively, because you've got two people at the top here in popularity. You've got Tom Tugendhat, you've got Penny Mordaunt, who have, I would say, more from the rational side of, I say rational probably in some heavy air quotes, doing a lot of heavy lifting, those air quotes, who would say, we shouldn't damage, our international relations, that there are maybe other ways we could, solve these problems. Of course, I still don't fully agree with those problems, because we've said before, the ways you solve this is, well, you fund the system, you create safe routes, job done. But this is an interesting time. I think this can spell a lot of trouble certainly in the Tory party, that's for sure. But now I did say, what about Suella Braverman? Because she was there herself not too long ago, in the top spot, in the top three indeed, challenging them very, very closely in a lot of places. So let's go have a look at that other question that they asked in that survey. Was Rishi Sunak right or wrong uh, to get rid of Suella Braverman? And I'm just going to say this. I don't think the photo that they used, I don't think the person that chose this photo maybe liked Suella Braverman that too much. So there you go. Looking indeed rather a bit drunk, almost in a way, or a bit on that front. But what happened, of course, in this survey? Well, if you didn't read that thing there, there we go. This is the survey. Hang on, do I need to get a bit bigger? There we go, just so you can see it. Hang on. There we go. There we go. So there you can see it. Hopefully you can see it, although it still is a bit small, but don't worry, I will read it out for you. They polled their, overwhelmingly conservative audience. What do you think? Was he right? Was he wrong to sack her? And this is, it's a bit of a twofer, really, because about 43% said that he was right to do that, while 54% said he was wrong. So ultimately, Sunak's decision, his big decision that he had to make very recently, has more often than split. And of course, you can see this is where the ideology comes into it, where you more a sort of traditional one nation Tory party, then you didn't really like Suella Braverman a lot at all, because they are very much the side of the party that does believe in following our international commitments, very much being a part of sort of being the UN, following international treaties, etc. You don't like Suella Braverman. So as you can see, that part of the party voted yes, he was right to sack her. Meanwhile, the other party that was like, absolutely no, we love Suella Braverman, said, you were wrong to sack her. It indicates that Rishi Sunak is in interesting times. Obviously, as we said, he's rock bottom at the lowest low of the lows in this league table at the moment. So there you go. But what does this mean for her chances? Well, I think this sums it up in a comment down below, because someone actually commented on this. Where is it? Yes, here it is. Someone discussing why it was wrong and stopping this. So you do understand that Suella Braverman simply wants to campaign on a hard luck story where the true righteous are thwarted at every turn by the woke pro EU establishment. Yeah, and that's indeed what she probably wants to do when she finally runs and makes her case. I wouldn't be surprised if that is what she runs on, this hard luck story of, I was right at every turn, but I was thwarted by those evil lefty lawyers, by those woke and the pro EU establishment. How dare they stop me from fulfilling my crazy plans? Yeah. It really does depend, honestly, at this point. I think Suella Braverman's future is she wanted to get the sack anyway, so she could start a future leadership campaign, because she's not interested in being the Home Office anymore. She wants to start campaigning. She wants to prepare for life after Rishi. We've not only just seen this with her, but with Robert Jerrick as well. He's been heavily a busy boy quite recently as well, campaigning for life after Rishi. And of course, that also implies that many of these people actually survive. Penny Mordaunt herself doesn't look like she might hang on to her seat. If she does, it will probably be a very close run thing. especially in those polls down in Portsmouth. So, like I say, we'll have to see what happens, but these polls have been very, very accurate in the past, predicting who will be the future leader. At the moment, last month, I would have said James Cleverly maybe could have put in a good run. Maybe it could have helped. Maybe sort of him and Mordaunt maybe could have united in like some sort of, anti, Suella Badenoch coalition to sort of get them out of the race, and maybe sort of be rewarded with like a deputy position or etc. That's probably not going to happen now, given how fast he has dropped like a stone in those league tables. But I do think Badenoch is potentially going to be the future, but even then, it's going to be hard for her. It's really going to be really hard for her, because all she's good at is the culture war stuff, and that, as we have said many, many times, does not sell well here in the UK. As hard as the Tories have tried over the last couple of years, the culture wars have not translated well into UK politics. There has not been a vote winner. If anything, it's been not even a vote loser in some cases. It's just not interesting, or lighting the fire as we've seen sort of in the US. And even in the US, that culture war sort of fire is very, very slowly dying, because eventually people go, well, hang on, I thought you said all this quote wokery was the problem, and you've been banging on about how bad all that stuff is for all this time, but we've still got all these problems. Maybe it's not that's the problem. You know? But no, honestly, that's good that these culture wars haven't made the transition. They have in some way, shape, or form, but they haven't, shall we say, lit the type of fire that the Tories were certainly hoping for. And of course, I think at the next election as well, we will probably see them try to re-stoke those fires yet again. But we'll see, of course, what happens. Like I say, we're probably maybe 6 months, maybe a bit more out of potential general election. We'll see what happens there. But as always, let me know what you think to these cabinet league tables. Does it surprise you where people are? Does it, especially Esther McVey, surprises me where she was, given her absolute dire Newsnight performance. Like I say, it was like watching an episode of The Day Today. It really was. But anyway, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, like, share, and subscribe as well. And of course, we'll see you all next time.